I am not a person that says your dog can't be on the couch or your furniture. However, I will say this, you need to understand that levels matter to dogs. Okay, so it's not just about like people will be like, oh, sometimes your dog just wants a comfy spot. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. They want a comfy spot, but levels matter. So, is every single time your dog gets up on the couch or up on the window ledge or on your bed, is that a strategic advantage? Not necessarily, no. And if you don't really have other dogs or animals or kids or whatnot in your house, maybe it's not ever a conversation or a strategical advantage. But you need to recognize that height and levels are a strategic advantage in survival. Yes, today on the podcast, we are continuing our series, Peace in the Pack, Guide to the Multi-Dog Household. And today we're talking all things levels, survival, and strategy. Let's get into it. Ready to have a calm and peaceful life with your dog without the stress of those fear-based behaviors? Hi, I'm Tracy, and I've been there, overwhelmed by all the conflicting dog training advice and unsure of what to do next. But now I help dog lovers like you simplify your life with your dog by building confidence naturally, fostering trust, and addressing those fear-based challenges. So, if you're ready, stop chopping those chicken wieners and let's get to it.
Hi, my name is Laurel, and I have a 2-year-old collie mix named Henry. A year ago, I was really struggling with Henry. I didn't understand him because he was so different and reactive, totally unlike any other dogs I've ever had. The last year with Tracy has totally changed the way I live with my sweet boy. I've learned so much about how my mindset influences behavior. I'm learning to lead him by developing a strong relationship with him, not just treating him for everything. I'm beginning to understand his unique personality, his strengths and areas to grow in, and I can tell you that he is a different dog now. I still have so much to learn, but I'm grateful for Tracy's help and the community of others who have walked this journey with me in the Fearful Dog framework.
Isn't that great? Thank you, Laurel, for sharing your story inside the Fearless framework. I think one of the common things that you'll hear from many of the students inside this program is that there's just so much more to learn. And that's because this isn't a quick fix. This isn't a change this technique, change your tools. This is real life relationship work. This is understanding how you influence your dog currently and how you can shift that influence to start to live intentionally with your dog. It's really honestly a lifelong journey. And if you're in it with us, it's a beautiful thing to do with friends. So if you're interested in joining us, check it out, beyondobedience.ca/fearless, and I'll see you there. Well, hello, my beautiful friend. It is Tracy. Welcome to Beyond Obedience, the podcast. Super duper welcome if you're brand new. If you're brand new, you are coming in the midst. Actually, I guess we're about to finish this series up. This is Peace in the Pack, your guide to the multi-dog household. If there's one thing to know about me is that I have lived with multiple dogs for, forever. Forever. You know, my story starts off with living in an 800 square foot home in downtown Guelph with anywhere between 8 and 10 dogs. When I started my career as a vet tech, and one of my jobs was to euthanize dogs. That was part of my job. No one ever told you about that when you were like, I want to be a vet tech and save all the animals. Now, there's a lot of heartbreak in that job. Anyway, I wasn't good at it. I kept taking the dogs home. And I still remember my dad the one day turning to me and saying, you can't keep doing this. Like, you can't save them all. And I was like, I will die trying, Dad. And the truth was he was right. I ended up having to get out of that. It was too hard. But my point is this: I have been living with groups of dogs for many, many years. Okay, let's do the math. I graduated in 96, and that's when I got my house and started collecting dogs. So, what does that mean? 90, was that 30 years? Oh my gosh, is it coming up 30 years? Is it 30 years? Oh man, I all of a sudden feel really old. What happened? Is that right? Someone do the math for me. Is that 30 years? That's like in 2026, will that be 30 years? Sigh. Okay. I wish I'd never done that math. See, math is evil. Don't do math, kids. Stay out of school. Hug a dog. No, I'm just kidding, kids. Stay in school. All right, let's get to it. I completely went off track there. Math is hard. All right, welcome back. Let's get back into it. Welcome back. Here we are. It's Peace in the Pack. This is episode number 5. Is it 5? Is it part 5? Oh my gosh. Yeah, we have this one and one more, and then we're wrapping it up. And then after that, we have a very special 2-part episode. So many good things planned. Make sure you've hit subscribe and you're following me, because all's the fun. All right. So quick recap where we've been. We were talking about how quite often the problem child isn't the problem. We got into dog analogies and understanding your dog's unique personality and the importance of doing that underneath the umbrella of pro-social. Then we talked about social behavior, pro-social, antisocial, asocial, and social. Last time we talked about possession and possessionary discussions and how it's not really jealousy, even though our human hearts love to think that it is. And today, we are talking about levels. We are talking about the strategic and tactical advantage of levels. And really, this should just be boiled down to, can your dogs be on the furniture? And the answer is yes. But also no. And now you're thinking, ow! I should have never used the slapping one. Oh man, that still makes me laugh. I don't know why. It just makes me laugh. I'd never used that button before. I'm like, what is slapping? All right, here we go. Get it together, Tracy. All right, we're going to be talking about the truth about furniture. And the age-old question of, should your dogs be on the furniture? Now, if we were talking to my good friend and mentor, Nelson, he would say no. He'd say no furniture. 4 feet on the floor. That was Nelson's line all the time. And then all of us students that were in his class would send him pictures of the dogs being on the couches. We'd be like, we're not doing a good job. I am not a person that says your dog can't be on the couch or your furniture. However, I will say this: you need to understand that levels matter to dogs. Okay, so it's not just about, like, people will be like, oh, sometimes your dog just wants a comfy spot. Sure. Yeah, absolutely, they want a comfy spot. But levels matter. So is every single time your dog gets up on the couch or up on the window ledge or on your bed, is that a strategic advantage? Not necessarily, no. And if you don't really have other dogs or animals or kids or whatnot in your house, maybe it's not ever a conversation or a strategical advantage. But you need to recognize that height and levels are a strategic advantage in survival. And as I keep on saying, dogs are all about Survival. Yes, our dogs are domesticated and all that good stuff, but at the end of the day, they're still rooted in the same things that they're rooted in. They're rooted in survival. Survival things matter to them the most. And levels help dogs strategically. Height can help your dog observe. They can gain an advantage. They can use it to claim a valuable space. They can do it as part of a conversation. So I'm not going to say that it's not about the no dogs in the furniture, but you have to know what the furniture means to your dog. Okay. So these are some of the things that I want you to consider to start to observe. Okay. I want you to observe when your dog uses levels. Okay. When does that happen? Because lots of times, if your dog, let's give an example. Your dog is lying peacefully on the floor. Another dog enters the room. Your dog then looks at that dog and then jumps up on the couch. It's probably a discussion, right? It's a statement. It's saying something. And if we go back to last episode when I was talking about possessionary discussions, if your dog sees another dog, jumps up on a level and is touching you, definitely, probably. What was that, Tracy? Definitely, probably. I guess I don't like to live indefinitely. So my brain was like, can't say it's always that, but probably, most likely, a possessionary discussion and a strategic leveling up. Okay. And maybe it doesn't matter. What do I mean by that? Maybe the other dog doesn't care. Maybe the other dog was like, you can level up till you're blue in the face. It does not change how I feel. Maybe that dog is super confident. Maybe that dog is like, maybe that dog is like, okay, that's your spot. I don't care. They're not going to challenge you. Maybe it means nothing, but maybe it means something. And as I've said, and most of the stuff that I talk about is you just need to be aware. You need to be aware of the things going on. This is where how interesting comes. If you've been listening to this podcast for any length of time and you are not on a daily saying how interesting, can we even call each other friends? That's all I'm going to say. Now, some people will like send me emails and they'll be like, and I said, it's interesting. And there's a part of me that's like, the term is how interesting. Listen, get into the club, get the memo. The term is how interesting. Okay. But if you're not saying that almost on a daily, how interesting, you're not observing. You're letting a lot of conversations pass you by. I'm not saying you need to know the answer. I'm just saying at least stop and go, how interesting, right? I get up and leave and my dog jumps up and takes my space in the presence of another dog. How interesting. And that is interesting. I actually have a video of that. Which when we get into that inside the Fearless Framework, I'm going to be sharing that video. It literally is a video of my Jack Russell doing exactly that. Like he had been having conversation after conversation after conversation. He's really trying hard to sort of level himself up and do all this stuff because he's a Jack Russell. So they got a height disadvantage, right? And he was trying so hard. And I got up from my seat and he literally got up and laid on my seat. And it was like this air of, yeah, I took her spot. What are you going to do about it? Like it was how interesting. It was so cool, but also Jack Russell's. Am I right? Anyway, the point is, if you're not doing this on a daily, then come on, let's get into it. Get into it with me, right? Also, it's how interesting, not it's interesting. It's how interesting. Very particular about that. I'm getting y'all t-shirts. T-shirts that say how interesting, beyond obedience. I want you wearing them so that you remember. Okay. Everybody get a t-shirt. So we're all on the same page. But that's the whole thing. Like it may mean nothing, but it may mean something. And you don't necessarily have to have the answers as to why it happened, but you should at least be acknowledging it. If your dog does that in the presence of another animal, right? If you have cats, like, and your dog's like, hey, just so you know, cat, this is mine. I mean, they'll never win the argument with a cat, but sometimes some of those dogs will try, right? And then on top of it, other things that we miss, like does your dog level up and then give like posture or eye contact or stillness or lip curls, right? Like there's an escalation of these warning signs that happen. But if you miss just the subtleties of, hey, I'm going to get up and just like, I'm going to get up and I'm going to be beside this human. And I'm also going to put my paw on their leg. And we look at it, us humans, us humans, we'll look at it and be like, oh, look at the dog loving me. Meanwhile, your dog's sitting there eyeballing the other dog going, ha, 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 ha. This is my human. And the other dog's like, just wait. You just wait. Just wait till we're not there. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing that I want you to understand when it comes to canine pack dynamics. Okay? Dogs don't hold grudges. They really don't hold grudges, but they do remember unfinished conversations. They do remember unfinished conversations. So while nothing may happen there, the escalation of those conversations throughout the day end up looking like something like, oh my gosh, the other dog just walked by and my dog just growled and snapped at him for no reason. No, there was a reason. It happened 8 hours ago in the multiple conversations that your dogs had with one another that you missed, right? Very rarely. See, because I don't want to say definitely always. Very rarely does a behavior come out of quote unquote nowhere. It just so happens you just missed a whole lot of conversation happening in your home. And levels are definitely a part of it. So where else can levels be a thing for you? Levels play a part in things like, if you have furniture that's in front of windows and you have a dog that's got like chronic, like constant barking and all of that sort of thing and running around from window to window, leveling up as they go, they see another dog outside and then they can level up onto this, the back of a chair. Just picture that, but in the wild, like take the modernness out of it, remove the house and just picture your dog like basically standing up on a rock, looking down at the dog walking on the street, being like, how dare you? Levels matter. Okay. So where is the biggest, most controversial level in your house? Anyone got a guess? Put your hand up if you've got a guess. If you guessed the bedroom and your bed, you are absolutely right. Now, I've asked this question numerous times. Everyone always thinks it's a trap. It's not. I'm just curious. But how many people let their dogs sleep on their bed? Put your hand up. If you're driving, keep both hands on the wheels and just look up. No, don't look up. Anyway, I'm putting my hand up right now. If you haven't seen it already, I've got pictures of my dogs on the bed. I let my dogs on the bed. But I will say this. I understand canine conversations and I understand what it means to the dogs. And I don't have any dogs that are overly possessive of me because I don't allow that. I don't allow that. I mean, if you heard the last episode, I should have mentioned this. I don't allow, I get offended, like literally offended if a dog is like, she's mine. I'm like, don't do that. I'm not a bone. I'm not a juicy steak. Like, you don't get to possess me. Like, that's not a thing, right? So I don't allow my dogs to have those possessionary discussions around me. So understanding all of that, and I don't have any dogs that are really possessive, I do allow my dogs on the furniture. Now, to that point, I will say this. Let me think back. She looks up because I've had a lot of dogs. Okay. Younger, stupider Tracy did. Yeah. Tracy of the past did, because I took a lot of dogs home. So when I was living in Guelph, most of those dogs were either taken from my work or stolen from my work. It's almost been 30 years. I don't think I can get arrested for that now. But I did steal dogs. So younger Tracy did this, but I will say now, older, wiser Tracy, I do not allow dogs that I did not raise to sleep on my bed. I do not allow dogs that I did not raise to sleep in my bed. And I never would allow a dog that was new to me that I did not raise to sleep on my bed. I'm going to say that again because I think this part is important for people adopting dogs. I do not allow dogs that I did not raise to sleep on my bed. If I did, it would have to be a very, very long time that I have owned them before I would feel safe and comfortable to have a dog that I did not know, that I did not raise to sleep in my bed. And I'm going to say that because the den and our bed is the most intimate level that you can get. You are at your most vulnerable when you are asleep. So you better be damn sure that the toothy predator that is sleeping beside you is one that you can trust. Nothing makes me more uncomfortable when I hear of people adopting a brand new dog and letting them sleep in your bed. It's a recipe for disaster, and it sets up a relationship standard that you may not want. Now, there's going to be a boatload of people that are going to say, I did that and it turned out fine. Yep. And there's also those that did that and it didn't. So I will always stick to my guns when I say, if you adopt a dog, that dog should not be sleeping in your bed. Now, I would say that the dog should be sleeping in your den, but in a crate, safely with you, but in a crate. That would be my suggestion, okay? Because again, you cannot get a more intimate level as your den and your bed. And when we talk about dogs being able to get up into the bed and level up and sleep next to you, that is a honored position. And I will hear lots of people that are like, oh, I have one dog that sleeps in the bed and one dog that sleeps on the floor. If that's the dog's choice, that's fine. That's different, right? There's lots of dogs that don't like sleeping on beds because they're double coated and they get too hot and all of that stuff. If that's the dog's choice, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, people saying, well, this dog was always with me, so he sleeps in the bed, but the other dog sleeps on the floor. That can cause issues. I'm not going to lie, that there can cause issues, which is probably why, people like my mentor, Nelson, who, like, for the record, spent his life dealing with really, really the hard cases, dogs with aggression issues, like human aggression and all of that stuff. So it made sense for him to be like, the rule was no dogs on the furniture, no dogs on your bed, like that kind of a thing. The rules get a little bit fuzzy when we're talking about noofs. Because they're like big bears. But I will tell you this, okay? And I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to talk about it again. And the reason why it matters, because if you've been following me for a while, you know that I do have a potential, what I would call a hot spot in my pack. And that hot spot has to do with the one dog that we have, which is Irie. Irie is an Australian Shepherd that we rescued, not rescued, I hate that word. We didn't rescue, he was fine. He didn't have a bad life. Irie had a great life. It was just circumstances. And we, through a fellow trainer of mine, knew about this dog that was looking for a home just because of circumstances. They wanted a better life for him than what they could offer because of life. And so we got Irie, and Irie's great. We had lost our older dog, Jake, our older Australian Shepherd, Jake, to which Connor was very, very bonded with. Connor was very young at the time. Well, much younger, I should say, at the time. And so when we got Jake, Connor really bonded, or what? Sorry, when we got Irie, Connor really bonded with Irie, and I made that dumb parent error of, when he was like, "Can this be my dog?" and he looked so sad. And I had this whole like, it's a boy and his dog, stupid human emotions. Anyway, I was like, yeah, he can be your dog. So, and we're going to talk more about that in the last episode, I think. But what ended up happening with that was that Connor kind of keeps Irie to himself. And as a result, when it comes to being on the bed, in my room, Irie is not allowed on our bed. And a lot of people will be like, even Connor's like, why can't Irie come in the bed? I'm like, because it will start too many fights. Like, it will start fights if you allow Irie on the bed. So this bed and den is like an intimate zone for this pack. Irie sleeps in Connor's room. So having him come in as an interloper, which sounds weird because he is part of our pack, but more on this next episode. But having him come in and then level up onto a bed where it just causes so much conflict. So we just don't. And Irie knows he's not allowed in bed. He's allowed in our room, and he's quite often in our room, but he sleeps beside me on the side, on the ground beside me. And the other dogs that are allowed on the bed get up and down and off the bed and move around and whatnot. And Irie never even asks to get on the bed, and that's how we've had it. And that's what keeps our dogs from fighting. So there are moments, and in this case, again, I'm going to talk more about this tomorrow. I'm going to talk more about this in the next episode. But there are cases where we, don't allow one dog on and it works out, and there's good reason for that. All right. So I think that's it. I think I kind of went a little bit off the rails a bit on that because I just want to make sure that people understand, especially when it comes just the fact that levels matter. Levels are strategical advantages to dogs. They are part of conversations. Dogs do we call it leveling up. A dog that has had maybe has lost a communication battle over a possession might then level up to try to up the ante on where they stand. Like, all that kind of stuff goes on. You don't have to know all the answers. You just have to be able to say how interesting and be aware, and then see if that starts to escalate in any way. Okay. All right. So I think that's it. Let me just check my notes. Was that everything? Yeah, I think that's everything. So basically the next steps or things to do now is just observe, and let me know. Post it in the Living Beyond Obedience group. Tell us if your dog is on the couch, if they use levels. Have you noticed your dogs are using levels, couches, stairs, crates, any of those things that sort of allow them to make a statement, especially after a conversation. And then how interesting it, and start to be aware. You're going to start to see a lot. I'm telling you, when you start to see it, you can't unsee it. You'll start to see it everywhere. It's amazing. All right. I think that's it for today. Listen, if you like this kind of stuff, as always, you can join us inside the Fearless Framework, be a part of the community of people that also loves this stuff. We do video analysis. We talk about canine conversations. If you've got multi-dogs, this is a great program to be in, teaching you about your influence and what you bring to the table when it comes to canine conversations. All of that happens inside that amazing program. It's 12 months. You can join right now. Go to beyondobedience.ca/fearless. And as always, my friend, if you liked this episode, be sure to share it with a friend. Give me a 5-star written review on Apple. Really helps push the podcast out. Leave me a comment on Spotify. And get out there, my friend, and be the person that your dog thinks you are. Because your dog thinks that you are amazing. And so do I. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now. Hey there, shout out to my good friend Jenna, who sent me a message about the fact that they perform vasectomies instead of castrations in a number of European countries without difficulty. Yay! I know. Someone also mentioned to me about vasectomies being performed in the States as well. Really hoping this trend takes off. Thank you, Jenna, for your message. She said, depending on the breed, intact males, including vasectomies, live longer and have a lower incidence of cancer. Again, breed dependent, and lower joint issues. Enjoy your pooches. Thank you for your lovely message, Jenna. And as always, one more thing. This podcast is meant for entertainment and education purposes only and is not meant to replace hands-on professional training. If you are struggling with your dog, please reach out to a professional in your area. All right, I think that's it. Bye for now.